Hello friends, in the YouTube channel Advocate Amit Kumar Gupta. Today we are going to discuss a very important case on section 54. The name of the case is Shrimati SEEMA SHAH versus Income Tax Officer. This case has been reported in 99 ITAT Tribunal at page number 595 and the matter has been decided on 27th May 2022. This case is pertaining to section 2 subsection 2 section 2 clause 42A, which is regarding definition of short-term capital asset, and section 54, which talks about the exemption in case of sale of residential unit. In this particular case, the assessee purchased a land 7 years back. The assessee incurred the expenses through a contractor towards filling of soil into the land and doing the boundary wall of the land. The assessee only have some contract agreement with the contractor, and all the details of the expenses was not with the assessee. And the fact was clear that in spite of doing this expenses on the land, which was regarding the filling of the soil and doing the boundary wall, was not sufficient to make the land as a residential unit. When the assessee sold this property, before selling the property, before 1 year, the assessee converted this land into the residential unit by incurring some more expenditure. The fact was clear that the building was constructed only 1 year back. The main reason for doing this bifurcation, that land was purchased 7 years back, then filling was done, boundary wall was done 7 years back, but the residential building was constructed 1 year back, is that it makes only the land as long-term capital asset and the building as a short-term capital asset. When the assessment was going on, the assessee claimed under section 54 the exemption on the full property by saying that it is a residential unit. But the point of the assessing officer was that the land is a long-term capital asset, the building is a short-term capital asset. So the exemption under section 54 should be given only in regard to the land and not in regard to the building. But the assessee was saying that I have incurred the expenses for the boundary wall, for filling up of the land, etc. But that was not sufficient to make the property as a residential unit. So the assessing officer was well justified in bifurcating the cost of the property into the land and into the building part, and bifurcating long-term and short-term capital gain on the property part. The land was long-term and the building was short-term. And the assessing officer also bifurcated the sale consideration according to that. So the moot point was that the assessing officer bifurcated the total long-term capital gain calculated by the assessee into two parts, long-term and short-term. Long-term was related to the land and short-term was related to the building. The assessee moved to the CIT appeal. CIT appeal also upheld the order of the learned assessing officer, so the assessee was before Varanasi ITAT. ITAT said that the assessing officer has well appreciated the facts. The assessee is not entitled to section 54 exemption on the building part, because for getting the exemption under section 54, the foremost condition is that the asset should be long-term capital asset. The building is not long-term capital asset in this particular case, so exemption cannot be given in any stretch of imagination on that part. So assessee got 54 exemption only part of the land. Rest of the judgment is okay. But as an author, my point of view is that on the land part also, section 54 exemption cannot be given, the exemption can be claimed under section 54F. Also, it may happen that the amount of exemption is coming the same, but for the academic purposes and for the technical purposes, because section 54 exemption is for residential unit. Section 54 cannot be given only for the land. But the assessee in this particular case got the exemption only in respect of long-term capital asset, that is land, and not for the building that was constructed only 1 year back. The property was sold. At the end of this video, once again I am repeating the name of the case. The name of the case is Shrimati SEEMA SHAH versus Income Tax Officer, and the matter has been reported in 99 ITR Tribunal at page number 595. Thank you, friends.